All right, there we go. She's good. I'll do a quick little intro and then we can off to the races.
Okay.
So welcome everyone to Freely Nourish, the podcast that empowers you to break the cycle of dieting by teaching you to nourish your bodies well. And today I have yet another live session for you all. So you can see firsthand what dietitians actually do. It is not just diets. It is not just weight loss. We do all kinds of things to help all kinds of folks with all kinds of health issues. So today I have with me Mara. Mara is, she's also a client of Katie Orlick. If anyone knows Katie, she's been training with her for several months now, right, Mara?
Yes, since February of this year.
Okay, yeah, so a couple of months. And Mara had booked a discovery call with me and kind of just a couple of things that we had talked about, I felt like there are things that I hear all the time, right? So Mara has issues that I hear, particularly from women, but we'll kind of get into that as the podcast goes on. But Mara, for the sake of anyone who has not met you and does not know what it is that brought you to my Zoom doorstep, what is it that you kind of, had you thinking, maybe I should talk to a dietitian?
So I have always been very active. I was a high school athlete. I have always, lived in the gym basically. I've gotten into marathons and running really in the past like 5 to 6 years. And so I consider myself very active. I feel like I'm very healthy, but I have gained a lot of weight, obviously, since high school. I'm a growing human being. But I just want to feel better about myself and feel like I'm not seeing any changes no matter how often I work out or what I eat. I do have a short little history of eating disorders. So I just don't want to go back there. I want to do it in a healthy way and not in an unhealthy way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So kind of, I assume the changes you're referring to, or you want to lose a little bit of weight,
Yes.
or at the very least shrink some things, right?
Absolutely.
Kind of, pause for a minute and make a note that, sometimes fitting into a different size pants, just feeling more comfortable in our bodies. Sometimes that comes with weight loss and that's totally fine. And sometimes it really doesn't. It just comes kind of with shape shifting the weight that we have, which I know, but of course for anyone listening. Awesome. So tell me kind of just a teeny tiny bit, as much as you are comfortable sharing, about kind of what your kind of dieting history has looked like. So when you have tried to lose weight in the past, what were some tactics that you used?
Starvation.
Mhm.
So everybody during COVID either went really healthy or really unhealthy, and a lot of people gained weight, a lot of people lost weight. I was the kind of person that lost weight, and what I would do was I would eat as little calories as I could. I would run twice a day. I would, I was training for my first marathon. So I was running long distances, and then I would walk the dog. And then instead of eating, I would be like, I'll just go take a nap, or, I'll just have like a rice cake and I'll be fine. So then I started noticing that I was getting injured more frequently with running. I got really bad shin splints that had me not running for 4 weeks, with marathon training is,
that's like,
you don't want to do that. So, yeah. And then of course, when I did start to incorporate food back in and even a little bit of alcohol, because I just cut it all off, I started to gain all of the weight back and then some. So I looked really great. I didn't feel really great. And then of course, now that I'm trying to just live my life, it affected me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And again, it's so common, right? I mean, I think, we're taught this narrative that thin bodies are in some way superior, right? And you sound like someone you've been, relatively thin your whole life. You've been so active and things like that, this weight gain is a change for you. But then we're taught that thin bodies are better bodies, and then we're also told that, well, the less you eat, the skinnier you will be, which
exactly
is sometimes true, sometimes not. But even if it is true, there's the downside of, you feel like crap, you're tired, you are injuring yourself. I have a very similar history with bulimia. I was more like a binge purge type, but in my restrictive phases, I would actually like break, like I have stress fractures from it. So,
oh, wow.
And it's, yeah. So but again, you're training for a marathon, like that's going to basically kill your training. So any of the fitness goals that you have for yourself, you've lost weight, but Are you functional? Unfortunately not really. Um, yeah. So what kind of shifted in your mind to say, okay, this is not healthy. I want a more sustainable approach?
So let me just preface by saying I knew it wasn't the healthy way to do
Okay.
that. I knew it in my
Yes.
head, but I was like, it's working, so I'm going to keep doing it, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because that's what we convince ourselves.
Right.
And really, it was I got onto TikTok. And
Yeah.
I had pushed off getting to TikTok because as a millennial, I was like, that's for the kids.
Yep. I
But
was
I
I was the
got on
same way
it and
because
I
it was like the
started
thing when COVID happened.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
pushed it off for so long. And then I started to see all of the body positivity that was happening and all of these girls who were like, I don't want to be skinny. I want to be able to like wrestle a bear. I want to have a guy look at me and be like, oh my gosh, look at how strong she is. And like
Yeah.
what I eat in a day. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much food, but it looks so good.
Right.
And then I found Katie and I was like, oh, yeah, I want to do it the right way. I don't want to starve myself because I love food too much. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Food is joy, right? I mean, I think, and people, and again, that's one of those things of diet culture that just sucks because it's just like, if you enjoy it, even if it's like a nutrient dense food, right?
Mhm.
It's just, oh, well, this tastes so good. So either it must be bad for me or I'm in some way like shameful for enjoying this food. And it's just kind
Yep.
of like, no, food is meant to bring you joy. It has always been meant to bring us joy, right?
Yeah.
All of human history, every culture on the planet has some tradition associated with food, and that's because
Mhm.
it is joyful. So I'm so glad you're back in our camp.
Yes.
Welcome back. It's it's I think that was probably one of the most liberating things for me too. It's like, okay, this is great, but then how do we balance the enjoying of the food with the activity and the physical changes that you want to see. um so I know I asked you this on a discovery call, but again, for the sake of the podcast, what does kind of a typical day of eating look like for you usually?
So I consider myself to be a healthy person. I
Yes.
do my meal prep because
Yep.
I don't like to wake up in the morning and be like, oh my gosh, I have to get my lunch together. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I have to, figure out dinner. So recently I've been doing my lunches where I'll make like a turkey burrito bowl for
Mhm.
lunch. And I always measure out my rice because that's just what I do now. I have breakfast, the same breakfast I have every day. I get back from the gym. I make myself 6 tablespoons of egg whites with some everything bagel seasoning and a toasted bagel with butter and pepper jack cheese. And I make myself a little egg sandwich.
Uh-huh.
Lunch, I'll have a burrito bowl with some Greek yogurt and a little bag of Pirate's Booty. And
Mhm.
then for dinner, I've been doing quesadillas because it's so easy.
Yeah, super
Chicken
fast.
quesadillas. Yeah.
Super, super fast. And you've been dealing with wedding prep and wedding posts.
Yeah, so honestly, the past like 2 weeks, I cannot tell you it's been really great. We've been eating a lot of leftovers. I still have a bunch of cupcakes that need to be eaten. So
Listen,
I,
they gotta go
take
somewhere.
take one for the team
Yeah.
and do that.
For real. Yes. And I think it is important to pause because I mean, well, you had a really big 4th of July weekend, but even just like, holiday weekends, like there's going to
Mhm.
be seasons of things, right? And like no one day is ever going to, and even if it's like a week or so kind of leading up to that day or after that day, like that's okay, right? Like life is going to ebb and flow. And it sounds like you're totally on board with that. But I think that that's something that a lot of people miss. They get really, really down on themselves and they're kind of
Mhm.
like, this sucks. Like I have all these cupcakes. I don't know what to do with them. And they're like, they're your wedding cupcakes. Like, freeze some of them, but like,
Yeah. Yeah.
eat the rest
And
of
it's
them and
definitely been
enjoy them.
hard. It's been something that I've had to come to terms with because it was also one of those things where like, oh, I was bad.
Mhm.
I have to go run it off. I have to go to the
Mhm.
gym. Well, I ate this today, so I'm not going to eat anything tomorrow.
Yep.
It's one of those things. And it really, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard to wrap your head around. And I still fight that battle.
Yeah.
But it's rough.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important piece though, right? Because I think that I think it's important to note that like your original thought pattern, the one that's kind of native, I think, to a lot of people that I have to compensate for it in some way, that
Mhm.
is a disordered thought pattern. It sounds like you acknowledge that now, but I
Yes.
just want to kind of be clear, for anyone listening, like that is a disordered pattern of thinking. We are
Mhm.
taught, like I even hear fitness instructors all the time, if they're doing like specials or whatever around holiday weekends, they're like, oh, we have to like earn our food or burn it off or like,
Yeah.
turkey burn like runs and things like that. And a lot of it's, meant to kind of speak to balance, but to be perfectly honest, the true idea that you have to either exercise enough to earn your food or to burn it off, one, that's not how your metabolism works at all. Right, like, that's just not how it works. But two, that is a disordered pattern. That does not mean you have an eating disorder per se in and of itself, but and it's hard to get ourselves out of that because it is so prevalent everywhere you go, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, yeah, kudos to you to kind of reminding yourself that, this is a more neutral space. But I think what can be helpful in kind of combating some of those thoughts, because one, the societal pressures everywhere and we can't always do anything about that. But then of course the internal dialogue is like,
Mhm.
it's very strong. So things that can be helpful for that are kind of having more neutral thoughts around food.
Mhm.
So kind of like, I know, you're super familiar with Katie and like her body neutrality. It's the same thing, but kind of food neutrality. So it's kind of like, these cupcakes are cupcakes. They are a combination of sugar and flour, and they were made with love and they brought us joy on one of the happiest days of our lives. And now I'm eating it and I'm remembering that. That is a
Mhm.
perfectly good reason to eat a cupcake,
Yeah.
right? Sheer joy of like, this cupcake is bringing me joy, and that's a perfectly valid reason. um and it sounds like it's not just about cupcakes, right? It's, a lot of times for people, it sounds like you may be one of them, where you kind of lay out how much food you should be eating in a day, and you're like, whoa, that's
Mhm.
a lot.
Yeah.
So it feels like, if you haven't meal prepped, if you aren't, even some people, like if they're not measuring out their rice and they just kind of like eyeball it, they're like, oh my gosh, like that gives me anxiety, even though the amount of, like, you put the same amount of rice in the same bowl every day. Like,
Yeah.
more or less like how much rice is in it. So it's a matter of kind of, again, neutralizing it, of like, this is rice.
Yeah.
This is just rice. It is a grain. It grows out of the ground. Like, somebody farmed it for me and now it's on my plate or in my bowl. So there's kind of a lot of times we have to fight that battle of like, what I'm eating is okay. And it sounds like maybe
Mhm.
there's still some of that going on, even
Oh,
when it comes to
absolutely.
meals that
Yeah.
you've like prepared. Um, you know, Cupcakes are kind of like, a dessert treat item, but even regular meals, I think sometimes people struggle to give themselves permission to eat things like rice or pasta in particular, but even just to eat it all. Like, I
Yes.
need this food, right? And if you're working with Katie, like, you're lifting heavy weights.
Yes.
I know you are.
Yes.
And you're probably doing it, I would say 3 to 4 days a week would be my guess. You may or may not be doing cardio on top of that. So you got to fuel.
Yes.
There's-
Yeah. I have marathon number
there's-
2 coming in October. So yeah, I'm putting miles in.
yeah, yikes. That's awesome. Which marathon, if you don't care to share, are you doing?
Oh, it's the Marine Corps Marathon in
Hmm.
DC. I did it virtually in 2020
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I'm doing it again in real life. So my
Oh,
first
it's
in-person
exciting. So
marathon.
this is
I
gonna be your
can't wait.
first like in-person marathon.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I love it. And I've never been to like, the Marine Corps marathon, but like I've heard good things about it. I think it's kind of special. So
Yeah.
um
So that's why I'm trying to get the body prepped, I
yeah,
figured start early and then,
yep.
we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think, it's obviously Katie could go on for probably hours about this, but it is important to incorporate weight training when you are prepping. Obviously as time goes on, you get closer, you probably ease off your legs a little bit, but
Mhm.
it's important to kind
Yes,
of build your muscles to support your legs to run that far.
absolutely.
Which is amazing. That's so exciting. I'm so excited for you. So I mean, it sounds like you have a really well balanced diet. Where do you think you kind of struggle nutritionally?
I think it is more so like when I get home.
Okay.
I don't really like to cook.
Okay.
So sometimes even my little quesadillas are like too much, and I just want to, and here's the bad thing, I just want to pop a bag of popcorn and eat popcorn for dinner,
Okay.
and that's all I want. I don't want anything else. I
Yeah.
have, I also really like eating like bowls of rice with
Mhm.
butter and a little bit of seasoning, like
Okay.
Tony Chachere's. I put it on everything.
Love it.
Um,
Love
but
it.
it's not like balanced, you know, it's
Okay.
a
Yeah.
whole bag of popcorn. It's not really bringing me anything, but it tastes good and
Mhm.
it's salty and I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Same with like the rice. I love rice. I could eat it for every meal.
Gotcha.
So if I have
Okay.
leftover rice, I just throw it in the microwave, put some butter and some seasoning on,
Yeah.
and that's my dinner.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm lazy.
That's fine. Listen, that part is fine. Because so well, it's fine and it's not fine. It's fine in terms of the popcorn and the rice are providing you good nutrition that you need. So we don't have to take those away. What we do need to do is add something to them to make them a little bit more balanced so that you're meeting your, protein and probably your calorie needs too. Do you snack much at all in between meals?
Not really.
Okay.
Mainly just because I'm at work during the day. So I
Okay.
work like 10 to 5.
Okay.
So I do most of my snacking in the evenings. But again,
Okay.
it's because all I want to eat for dinner is like popcorn or my favorite little treat that I have every night. And it's not even a treat, it's a rice cake with peanut butter and jelly on it, just because
Okay.
that's what I like.
Yeah.
So that's usually like my go to dinners.
Yeah.
And I know that they're not very like
Nutrient
nutrient
dense.
dense,
Yeah.
but they taste good and I like them. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, they taste good and you like them. That's again, totally valid reason to eat any food. We just need to add some more food to it. When you are like, when you get home, like, are you hungry right when you, do you, when you get home from work, like, are you hungry like right away, or are you typically eating dinner like a little bit later in the evening? What's kind of like your typical flow?
So since I don't go into work until 10, I have breakfast a little bit later, and that
Okay.
usually holds me. I have lunch around
Okay.
1-ish. And then yeah, I get home and I usually like have a little bit of a snack. Like I'll make like a rice cake
Yeah.
with my peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. I love
But then
that.
I usually go for a run in the
Okay.
afternoons.
Gotcha.
So then when I get back, I'm not hungry like right after I work
Right.
out.
Okay.
So I just chill for a little bit. And then maybe like 5, 6 o'clock, I'm like, yeah, I could eat something.
Okay.
So that's usually when I'll like make something else up,
Okay. Okay.
depending.
Gotcha. 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 Yeah. So it's not like we're like starving the second we walk in the door, which is
No.
great.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you eat before your runs, which is even better. Checking all the boxes. We're doing so many right things. I can't even stand it.
Yay.
So, so you really are, whether you realize it or not, you are doing a lot of things right. And I think I'm going to show you why, and then I'm going to get you some suggestions of things to kind of help balance it out a little bit. Um,
Absolutely.
so I'm going to share my screen with you if I can find the right
Yeah, I have
screen.
my little notepad to make little notes and
Excellent.
stuff
I
too.
love
So
it. We love a prepared lady. Does that show up for you? Can you see the
yes.
Okay. So this might actually be a little light for you in terms of calories, but this is just kind of a sample menu that I had. So basically we have the meal suggestions on the left hand side, but then a pattern of exchanges on the right. So for example, you have a protein, a dairy, and a fruit for breakfast. It doesn't have to be a protein, a dairy, and a fruit. It doesn't have to be peanut butter as a protein, yogurt as a dairy, and an apple as the fruit. It can be something else. But so for example, if you wanted to do eggs as your protein, that would be fine. I think you and I had talked about potentially doing like collagen peptides and oatmeal and things like
Mhm.
that too as protein substitutes. So that's certainly something we can do. This one has snacks built in, but if you are not a particularly big snacker, you basically just kind of collapse the snacks into your meal, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So where this has a grain and a protein, you would just have two proteins, a dairy, a fruit, and a grain with breakfast. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So which honestly, it sounds like your breakfast for pretty well nails all of those.
I just need to
So
add like a fruit, which is totally
yeah,
fine.
and say, I
Not a
think, yeah, the
problem.
fruit was the only thing missing. So I think, yeah, perfect. And it can be, obviously doesn't have to be an apple. It can be any fruit that you like. But just for the sake of argument, your grain doesn't have to be a granola bar. It can be a bagel. I have this little list of like, it can be rice, pasta, bread, crackers, cereal, anything like that kind of constitutes as a grain. I would say for you, you might be, I'll calculate your needs kind of off camera and you may need two grains, but we'll get you the right stuff. for the sake of argument, you get the idea. Lunch, kind of same thing. So if you aren't doing, an afternoon snack, which actually it sounds like you do an afternoon snack kind of after work.
Mhm.
But again, you've got your exchanges. This is basically making a sandwich, but your grains could also be rice. They could be pasta that you prepped. They could be the tortillas from your quesadillas, anything like that. And kind of so on and so forth. And then basically the idea is that you use this little exchange list to kind of, cross reference and give yourself ideas of things to fit into the different categories. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, again, I think this one's probably a little light for you. This is roughly equivalent to about 1,500 calories. And I think you're probably going to need closer to 2,000, probably even 2,200 might be not too aggressive as we get into more significant marathon
Yeah, I
training.
think right now my goal is to stay around like 18, 19,
Hmm.
from what Katie had brought
Hmm.
up for me.
Yeah.
Um, which usually I don't have a problem hitting.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Um,
Yeah.
all
I
of
would.
my meals are roughly around 500 calories
Okay.
each, give or take. Um, breakfast is like just under,
Sure.
lunch is usually a little bit over, dinner is usually a little bit over.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
depending on the snacking as well.
I would say how intensely are you running right now?
Right now it's kind of light. My long runs are kind of working their way up. I run like 3 to 4 times a week, depending.
Okay.
Um, let's say 3, 6, 9, maybe like 20 miles a week,
Okay. Okay. And
roughly.
then how often are you lifting or doing things that Katie tells you to do?
Uh, 2 times a week, two to three
Okay.
times a week,
Okay.
just because running's kind of priority right
Kind of
now.
taking your priority. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I would say, just because I say this mostly because like I know your running is going to probably continue to increase.
Hmm.
Um, I would actually put you probably closer to 2,000. Um,
Okay.
just because, have you noticed any changes at the 1,800, 1,900 mark? Like, has that been problematic for you to stick to? Does it seem just fine for you in terms of
It
like,
seems just fine, really.
okay,
Honestly, increasing always scares me a little bit, not just, because we're increasing, but also like I don't find myself that hungry.
okay, okay,
Um, so I just have trouble like eating that much food,
okay,
you know?
yeah, sure. And I think anytime somebody's kind of struggling with that aspect, I'm okay with you kind of in like the 1,800 to 2,000 calorie mark for now.
Mhm.
But you probably will want to bump up to at least 2,000, more like 2,100 as your marathon training increases. So
Okay.
I think you're at an okay goal as long as you're feeling full and satisfied and you're able to get there. But anytime somebody's like struggling to eat that much food, what I usually say is, rather than trying to feed yourself more times, just try to increase your portions when you do eat.
Mhm.
And it sounds counterintuitive. That may leave you feeling slightly over full at first, but usually after like a week or two of doing, and you shouldn't be like miserable, right? Like it should never be like I have to go lay down and take a nap kind of thing. That's not that there's like anything morally wrong with doing that, but that is not my goal for you.
Yeah.
Right. But you may feel kind of just like a little bit extra full and kind of almost tired for maybe 20 minutes after that meal, but that should get better with time as your body kind of gets used to that volume of food. Also, as you start to run more, and I'm sure you knew this from your first time training, you get hungrier. Right?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah. I did like a half marathon in training, as one of my
yeah,
long runs.
yeah,
And we went to like this taco place. And I think I had like 4 plates of
yeah,
food in front of me. It
yeah,
was so good. Oh,
yeah, yeah. There, I will say there's a certain place in my heart for like some of those post long run like meals, because it's just like it just tastes so good, and then like you're still hungry like afterwards.
yeah.
It's like,
I have a well, I run half marathons like frequently. And
yeah,
then my thing to do is like my mom has a jacuzzi tub. So I'll be like, hey
yeah,
mom, start the bath, right? Epsom salt, the whole 9 yards. And then I order myself a medium Papa John's pizza with breadsticks.
I love it.
And that's like my post-run
I
meal.
love
And
it.
that's like my tradition after every single half marathon is
I
I
love
have an
it.
Epsom salt bath and I eat an entire pizza.
Listen, that sounds amazing.
It's
Actually.
fabulous. It's
That
fabulous.
sounds really amazing. And like, I think it's important to say too that like, especially if you are running that much, like eating a whole pizza is not like out of the realm of what you should be doing, right? Like that's
Yeah. Because I
probably, I
don't
mean, like
really
that
eat
probably is
breakfast.
like the calories you just burned. So,
Yeah. And I don't know about anybody else, but I can't eat like before I do
mhm,
any sort of exercise. So like especially race mornings when I'm like kind of nervous, I don't eat that
right.
day. I have like gels and stuff and
Yeah, like the
gummies
small
when I'm
stuff,
running.
but yeah.
But yeah, no. So when I get done that run, I am ready to eat anything and everything that
Yes.
is put in front of me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's kind of because I got a lot of questions about this too, of kind of like, should I be fueling like during my workouts and stuff like that? And I think generally speaking, if your workout is an hour or less, you don't necessarily need to fuel, certainly not during it. Even before it, you can probably get away with it depending on what you're doing, as long as you have eaten like a relative, like a normal sized meal within like 2 to 3 hours. If you are, running for 2.5 to 3 hours, however long it takes you to do a half marathon, that's a different animal, right? And like you very definitely do need fuel in the middle of that, which
Mhm.
where the gel packs and like I know people, jelly beans are my jam. I know people who eat gummy bears and stuff like that. You want those
Yeah,
like quick carbs because like one, your stomach's not going to tolerate a whole heck of a lot much else, but also
absolutely.
for that type of event, you want that the carbs is what you're going for, as opposed to like
Mhm.
powerlifting where it's the glucose isn't as essential. But yeah, so this is kind of where I would put you. Honestly, I think your diet sounds pretty close to this. It sounds like you're pretty close. I think your calorie goals right now are appropriate. Like I said, if you're not doing snacks, you just merge those into your meals as long as you get all the food groups in.
Mhm.
Um, Dinner, it sounds like, is where we're maybe struggling sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
And usually I try to tell people, do at least a grain, a protein, and a vegetable with dinner. It sounds like we're getting the grain, we're doing real good on that. And then the rest of it is sometimes falling apart, which is okay.
Yeah.
That's where I have, so one, this food group thing can kind of help you sometimes too, because it could be popcorn and at least a bag of carrots or something like that, like
Yeah.
something,
Well,
some,
let me say I get the canned what are they? The canned green beans.
mm,
And I'll like just eat it out of the can, right? That's another
love
one
it.
of those lazy Mara food hacks is I
Listen,
will just open it and drain it and eat it out of the can. So I do sometimes hit the vegetable,
listen, love
sometimes.
it. That's great, honestly, because like I think that's like I have no problem. I have a special place in my heart. I feel like for canned green beans. Not everybody loves them, but I do.
They're so
Um,
good.
like, and I like any canned food. One, you can absolutely eat it out of the can, like it is ready to be eaten. I'll eat beans frequently out of the can, and my husband's just like, what are you doing? Like, I need to cook those. And I'm like, they're cooked.
They're already cooked. You don't even have to heat them up because they're delicious by
No,
themselves.
and
You
like
don't have
they're
to
like
add
I'll put them on
anything.
salads and stuff too, but yeah, it's like it's perfect.
Yeah.
um so yeah, if you need like no effort type of cooking, then like definitely canned vegetables are the way to go. They do make the like steamer. This is less for you, Mara, more for anybody listening. They make the steamer bags too that you pop them in the microwave, and like you cook them for maybe 4 minutes in the microwave. Like sometimes they have sauce and butter and whatever on them, and sometimes they're just plain, but you can obviously season them however you want. And then those you usually get about 2 portions out of those. So like those are
Mhm.
another like really quick go-to. If we don't like canned green beans and
Yes.
we're
Yeah, we actually use those steamers. My
yeah,
husband, we meal prep for him as well, so he can
okay,
take his lunches to work.
yeah,
So we'll do like a crock pot chicken, and then I'll grab like 2 or 3 bags of those steamer veggies and just dump veggies
yep.
with it.
Mhm.
So it's so easy.
It's super easy. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times you can do stuff like that. And like they don't even have to be the steamer bags. A lot of times you can do, depending on the recipe, it can be like just frozen veggies.
Mhm.
And you're basically just kind of heating them up in with whatever you're doing. You can add pasta at the end of it. Like you can do a lot with a crock pot that's kind of like chicken or some kind of meat and some kind of sauce. And then you just kind of toss in some veggies either after the
Mhm.
fact or kind of at the last minute. And it makes it, again, a complete meal. Um, that's ready to go. So there's certainly some ideas on here for that, but then I also have kind of these hacks. So
Mhm.
for your grains and starches, you're doing pretty well. So we'll leave
Check.
that alone. But I will say that, like, I don't know if you've tried these kinds of like little pouches of rice, but
Oh,
I
they're
think they're
great. Love
fantastic.
them.
Yeah.
So good.
I frequently, like, I'll even bring these for lunch sometimes when it's just like I have like a protein and maybe like carrots, and then I'm like, I don't know what I need. Here we go, Uncle Ben, like, come in, save my life
Yeah.
as usual.
My college
um
years, I would literally just, eat it out of the
yeah,
bag. I would just heat it up and eat it.
yeah,
Yeah.
listen, nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with ramen noodles, nothing wrong with these like nor like pasta side, those you do have to
Oh,
cook,
those are so easy. I
but they're
love
easy.
those.
Yeah. Yeah. They're super easy. For anybody listening who doesn't know what they are, they're basically just like these pasta things that come with a sauce. You basically heat it up in like 2 cups of water. They take probably, I don't know, like 10 minutes maybe to like
Mhm.
cook the pasta, but then you have a sauce. You can like add stuff to it if you want to. Like, you can add vegetables to it. You can add chicken to it. They can just be a side, but they're super quick, super fat, super, easy to make. And
And
um,
usually they're super inexpensive at the grocery store. Like
yes,
usually
they're
it's
almost
like,
always on sale.
5 for $5. It's
Right.
usually really
Yeah.
inexpensive.
They have a really wide variety of flavors, and like there's, maybe some extra sodium in them, but nothing wild.
Mhm.
It's definitely, they're really fast and really easy. To our protein, which is where
Yes. Let me
where
tell
Miss
you, I
Mara
get
is
those
struggling to say,
pre-shredded chickens
yeah,
where all you do is throw it in the microwave, and that's how I make my chicken quesadillas because I don't want
yeah,
to make my own chicken.
yeah,
So that's one of those things where like I factor it in, when we're doing grocery shopping or whatever.
mhm,
I'm gonna spend a little bit of extra money so I don't have to do it.
yeah,
But it's so great. It's unseasoned chicken and it already
mhm,
comes pre-shredded.
yep.
So
Yeah,
great.
I've seen that. And I think it's like, is it the Purdue brand? There's one, because these are the strips, but they make
Mhm.
it to where it gets already shredded and stuff like that. So that's definitely a great option. Honestly, like, you could add that with your rice too. So that's kind of like something, or like just as a side, you could do, like, I know you do eggs in the morning, but you can do like
Mhm.
hard boiled eggs either as a snack or like
Mhm.
kind of alongside. Sliced deli meat is a really great option that a lot of people don't think of. Um, let's see, what else? You don't particularly care for seafood, is that right?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I just don't usually cook it because, I
Time.
am lazy and I don't like to cook.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done
So
like the tuna cups. I put them over salads and stuff like that.
yeah,
Those are
okay.
really nice as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They make, I posted one on Instagram the other day. They make like the little like pouch. Kroger is like our main grocery store here.
Mhm.
So they make that brand, but also like Starkist, I think, is the one that originally made them. Like, they make like the flavored different packs. You can also just make your own like tuna salad and stuff like
Mhm.
that. That's totally fine. They make the same thing as salmon. So again, like, super easy. You can add it with your rice. You can have it on the side of the rice. you
Yeah.
know,
One of
it
the
can.
things that I like to do is I get like the buffalo
Mhm,
tuna or whatever,
mhm,
the little pouch.
mhm.
And then I mash up an avocado with it and add
Oh
some
yeah.
like
Mhm.
salsa, and then I just eat it with chips, and
I have,
I make it
yeah,
a dip.
yeah. So I had somebody who did chicken salad that way with, I don't think it had the chicken salad. It was one of those like canned like chicken salad things. I don't think it had any other like flavoring in it, but she mashed it up with like avocados. Or sorry, it was canned chicken and she just mashed it up with avocados, and like it was basically like chicken salad, and it was, yeah, it's super yum. Um
So good.
I love that. Yeah, totally. So lots of ways to play with that, right? So you
Mhm.
can, it doesn't have to be just like the canned salmon or the pouch of salmon as it is. You can add, any type of like salad dressings can be really handy here to kind of just
Mhm.
like add some different flavor to it. And again, you can put it over, some veggies. You can, they make kind of the, in terms of frozen veggies, so that we have like the steamer bags, the canned veggies, but then there's also like the pre-made salad kits. There's also, a lot of times they have kind of like, like different like fajita mix and stuff like that,
Mhm.
which may go well in your quesadillas
Yes.
too. So, and like, the salads are usually pretty easy. You just dump them in a bowl. So it's not,
Oh, you're preaching the choir.
yeah.
Like I already am on board with pre-made salads. I have this one. It's an everything bagel salad. Comes with little
Ooh,
bagel chips, everything seasoning, and like an everything ranch or whatever. Oh,
yeah.
I'm on board with all the pre-made stuff. Like
Yes.
not
Love it.
doing any cooking when I get home.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And the pre-made salads, like I tend to buy those more when they're on sale just because like for cost. But
Mhm.
you can also have like, what I have a lot of people do is buy like those big bricks of kind of like the different like spring mix or whatever they are,
Mhm.
and then just kind of like chop up your tomatoes, throw in your croutons, add in any like nuts and seeds, kind of make your own salad mix in
Mhm.
that big container, and then just kind of
Yeah.
scoop out from that throughout the week as just a more affordable option to do the than the salad kits, just because those sometimes can be expensive, sometimes not. So
Yes,
again,
I
that's
go to the big bulk stores and get them. So yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you're on board. You're doing lots of convenience things. What do you think it's going to take then to kind of get you to get some sort of, I would say probably the protein is the bigger concern with your
Mhm.
dinner. What do you think is going to take for you to get a protein added to your dinner kind of on a reliable basis?
I'm not sure. I have never been one of those people where I'm like, man, I could really go for some chicken right now. Like it's not something that I really want.
Okay.
I'm very like salty snack
Hmm.
person. So
Hmm.
I want that bag of popcorn, like, ooh,
Hmm.
buttered popcorn, that sounds so good right now. Or like
Yeah.
even the salad, I'll be like, man, I could really go for like that saltiness
Hmm.
of that. So I think I just have to force myself to do it,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and it's hard when I get home and I'm like, "Oh, I just really don't want it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a me problem.
Well, it is, but we can work around it, right? So I think, if you're up to things like the chicken strips or, even frozen meatballs and things like that, if you're up to stuff like that, then adding those in, also having boiled eggs on hand, sometimes those go down a little bit easier.
Mhm.
Um, but you can also do something like a protein shake too, as your
Mhm.
protein with dinner. Like there's no reason why it has to be a solid food if you're kind of just like, not feeling it. Another thing, another TikTok creator actually turned me onto this. It's her name is Kiki List. I'll tag her when I post this, but um it's like a protein cookie dough. So you take protein powder, you mix it with peanut butter, and then you add just like a tiny bit of like, any kind of milk or water or whatever, just to basically make it like the consistency of a cookie dough. And then you can add like chocolate chips to it. But so that's kind of like if like I will, if I know I didn't eat enough protein with dinner, I'll kind of eat that as a dessert, just
Mhm.
knowing that it's really a protein. Um, so that might be something to try as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
was talking to Katie about it, that one of
mhm,
the things that I personally struggle with is I'm a salty snack kind of
mhm,
person. So I don't really want sweet things. Like she had talked about shakes and protein bars and
mhm.
stuff, and none of that stuff really like it's not like it doesn't sound good, but I don't ever like crave it or really want it. So it's
Yeah.
one of those things that I struggle with because I know I need to get the protein, but I don't want like a sweet treat. And most
Yeah.
of
Okay.
those are like um birthday cake flavored and chocolate and
Yeah. Like
this,
there's
and
some kind
I'm
of
just not
sweetness.
really
Yeah.
big on those.
Yeah.
So a couple things I have done in the past is I get like meat sticks,
Yeah.
like salami
All
sticks, and
for
I've
it.
done
Yeah.
that
That's totally fine.
before.
Jerky and stuff like that.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so but again, I'm weirdly picky about some things sometimes. So
Yeah. Well, and if you're wanting like the salty, crunchy, so definitely like any kind of like jerky or like meat sticks. And that's where like, deli meat can mean ham, it can mean turkey, but it can also mean like salami and things like that too. So like that's totally fine. I pulled up, so I don't know how good these chips are, but Quest does make a protein chip. They have like
the spicy sweet chili are good. They taste just like the Doritos
okay,
ones,
the
the
regular
purple
Doritos,
bag. Yeah,
awesome.
I have tried them.
Yeah. I've heard that these Taco Bell ones, are not loaded taco, not Taco Bell, but like they're in a purple thing. So I assume it's Taco Bell. But I've heard that those are good. Honestly, there's some flavors in here that like I didn't even know existed. Um, I want to say somebody tried the ranch and told me they weren't good, but so that's definitely an option too, right? Is that you can make kind of like some like nacho type of thing, as like
Hmm.
it's a salty thing. Also, nuts and seeds are really good, like salty, crunchy. Like you can have the popcorn, but then have like some nuts or something with it.
Okay.
Just kind of, and it only takes really like a handful to be at least a portion of protein. Um, so that might be kind of like a way to add to your salty, crunchy craving without, but still get you some protein in there.
Hmm.
Um, The other thing, which I think you and I talked about on our discovery call, was collagen peptides, which are a little bit pricier in terms of a supplement, but they dissolve in water. So, or,
Hmm.
they're more water soluble. So you're not going to get that protein aftertaste.
Hmm.
Um, I wouldn't do them in water just because they do taste weird, but you can do it in like juice or Gatorade or
Yeah.
anything else. They do dissolve. So you can also kind of drink your protein that way too.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think I did. I think my husband picked some up for me in like one of the smaller containers because he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so expensive." I was like, just give me a little one. We'll just
Yeah.
try it and we'll see how
Yeah.
it goes."
Yeah, they are, unfortunately, they are a little pricey. I will say though, I saw them at Costco the other day, and like, Costco, like they have the huge
Yes. Oh yeah.
thing. And I want to say, like, I mean, I think it was $50, but it was $50 for like a large
Hmm.
thing. That's kind of like two of the regular containers. So I mean, they're still expensive. It's not the like end all be all, but it's, again, it's not something that you're necessarily eating every day. It's just something that
Yeah.
like we have on occasion when it's just kind of like, I don't know what happened, but the protein didn't happen, and
Yeah.
we need to get something in here for these joints. Um, so yeah. And then I also have, just because you're kind of like, you do tend to get a little snacky in the evening,
Hmm.
these are just kind of some options for like, protein based snacks, carbs. Again, I don't think anybody has a problem with carbs, but just things of that nature. You can combine these things, obviously. The peanut butter on your kind of PB&J rice cake definitely counts as protein too. um a lot of people will add cheese to things. If you like cottage cheese, it is kind of salty, even
Yeah.
though it's got that creamy texture. Um,
I would like to get into cottage cheese because I hear it's like a really good snack, but
yeah,
all of the recipes I've ever seen are like sweet cottage cheese. So I
yeah,
think I need to do a little bit of digging with that one. Most people I hear put like pineapple with it. Um,
yeah.
but I need like a salty snack, like savory something.
So I know a lot of people that use it, one, like use it in recipes as kind of like a substitute. So like, for
Mhm.
example, in like lasagna, I wouldn't say like you're going to substitute all of the ricotta cheese, but like you may add it to it just to kind of
Yeah.
like add some. So there's definitely that, like anything that's kind of cheesy, I think you can kind of get away with it. I'll honestly put it on like a rice cake and with like, some meat and cheese, or like a tomato
Hmm.
or something like that.
Okay.
I usually season it with like salt and pepper too. Um, so things like that, is how I've done it. You
Okay.
can use it to kind of make a dip. Like you could probably do it with like, um, even like chicken or something like that, or,
Hmm.
yogurt and chicken go really well together too, like Greek yogurt. If you get like a plain one that's not like sweet vanilla flavored,
Hmm.
that can help a lot to just kind of beef up the protein content without,
Hmm.
because I mean, if you eat cottage cheese for cottage cheese sake, yeah, most people eat it with fruit, but you can add it into things if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I was using Greek yogurt as like a substitute. Instead of like an Alfredo type sauce,
mhm.
I would do the plain Greek yogurt, and that was one of the things that I really liked swapping out.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think Greek yogurt does great. Greek yogurt does really well, as I know you don't do a ton of cooking, but or you don't do a ton of cooking at night. But as like a marinade for like chicken and stuff like that, because the
Oh,
acid in
okay.
it actually helps to kind of like break down the chicken. And then it kind of, if you grill it or something like that, it kind of puts a nice little coating on it. Um, it does great with like, if you have like fruit or anything like that, which I know you're not a big fruit eater, but to anybody listening, it's kind of like a dip, or like veggies, you add some of that, like one of those packets of ranch, or like, now they make it in a bottle. It's like just like the shakeable
Yeah.
ranch seasoning. So adding some of that into it, and like, eating that with like carrot sticks or something like that, that's like, you're still getting some protein from the yogurt, depending on how much you eat. You can also, basically you now have ranch. So
Yeah.
anything that you
In
would
my
use
head, I'm
ranch
like,
for.
onion, like an onion dip with Greek yogurt, because
Yeah.
I love onion
Yeah.
dip. So do that with the veggies.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so good.
Yeah. No, you can do that. Basically, if you take, okay, so those like little packets of like onion soup mix.
Yeah.
So I made this for a Super Bowl party once. I want to say, I think it's like either 2 cups or 4 cups of Greek yogurt. And I know that's a really
Hmm.
big difference, and I'm not sure which, but basically it's like, it's yogurt, and then you just dump the onion soup mix in it. And it is like, it tastes like that like Frito-Lay dip.
Yum.
Yeah, so that, it was really good. Basically, I would just, it's either going to be way too much or way too little.
That's all right. I'll figure it out. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I want to say, like, I feel like I used most of one of those big tubs of yogurt. So, but yeah, I mean, it's, very low fat, and, pretty high in protein. So
Yeah, I'm definitely adding that to my list.
yeah. And then for that sake of that argument, you could do the exact same thing with the packet of ranch too.
Yeah.
And it'll stay good in the fridge for, definitely at least a week. So, whatever you would normally use ranch for or onion dip for. Yeah, so lots of options there. And then there's, of course, all of our Laughing Cow cheeses, actually, or like any of those like spreadable little like cheese wedge things. Those also have a decent amount of protein in them too. So if you find yourself inclined to eat that on crackers or with your rice cakes or anything like that, those add. Hummus is another one that's kind of more on the savory end that has a decent amount of protein too. So yeah, lots of options there. Questions, thoughts, concerns? What you thinking?
No, I'm excited. I definitely have, some notes and stuff to try, and we'll see how it all goes.
Yeah. I think I mean you're doing most of the things right. And that's kind of mostly why I brought that menu up to show you, is that like you're checking almost all of those boxes. So say there's, I think, 15 exchanges on it. You're maybe missing your dinner protein, which is important, especially for the kind of training that you're trying to do. But you're doing like the rest of it, you're hitting it pretty well. So, and I'll also say, just partly for your benefit and partly for the benefit of anyone listening, if you are someone who doesn't particularly love fruits or vegetables, like if you like vegetables but don't love fruit, or you like fruit but you don't particularly love vegetables, you really only want to aim for like somewhere between 3 to 5 servings of the two of those per day. So like if you are more inclined to eat fruit, then you just eat 3 fruits per day. If you're more inclined to eat vegetables, then just eat 3 vegetables per day. It doesn't have to be necessarily a mix of the two. And it may vary, like, depending on what's in season, what's available, that like right now we're eating a lot of watermelon at our house just because that's where we are in
Perfect
life.
Timing.
And it's the best time of year if you ask me, but there's times during the winter where like oranges are the only thing that's fresh and like strawberries are like $10 a pint, and I'm just like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I will say I lean more towards veggies. I just love most all vegetables, and especially in the wintertime when I can turn my oven on and not worry about heating up my whole house to cool it down in the summertime. So more so in the wintertime, I'm eating a lot more vegetables. But again, with those like salads and my little cans of green beans that I just eat, I try to get as many vegetables as I can.
And I will say summertime, like salads are kind of more readily available and they're a little cheaper. And like there's nothing like roasted, like just a whole pan of veggies and then you just eat on it like throughout the week. But I'm right there with you. The thought of turning my oven on right now just like makes me shudder.
Thank God we have an air fryer, because it would just be a disaster.
Yes, we have definitely, and I will say that too, is that you can definitely roast vegetables in your air fryer. It's usually about 400 degrees for like 10 to 15 minutes, just depending on what type of vegetable it is. But whether it's a basket, whether it's a tray, it's a lifesaver, and you're not heating up your whole oven and your whole house along with it.
Exactly.
So that's great. Awesome. So normally what I would have people do is kind of, based on everything we talked about, what is one or maybe 2 goals that you kind of want to set for yourself? If we're going to follow up and say a month, in that month's time, what do you really want to focus on?
So definitely adding a protein of some kind, whether it's my little onion dip with Greek yogurt and veggies for dinner, but like adding some sort of protein with dinner to make it, kind of a whole balanced day. So I'm getting protein with every meal. Or getting my collagen peptides if I need to.
That's okay. That's still a protein.
And then trying to add like a fruit or a veg in the morning with breakfast. It's too easy right now. Like you said, so many fruits are in season. Just to like, even if I just have like a small little bowl of strawberries or a little bit of watermelon or an apple to go, whatever. But just kind of help add a couple things to be more balanced.
No, I love that. I think those are great goals. And I think, kind of they sound so simple, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I think they're perfect goals because they're things that you just really need to focus on like every day, right? And it's just
Hmm.
kind of like, okay, like, did I have my, fruit or vegetable with breakfast, or did I have my protein with dinner? Like, that's kind of like the two main things we need to focus on. And but it had so much nutrition to your day, which is really what we're after, right? Because even though your goal is ultimately to lose a little bit of weight, but also kind of feel better running
Hmm.
26 miles, um you know most of the time that's about adding nutrition rather than taking it away.
Hmm.
So I think making sure that we're getting those micronutrients in with the fruits and the vegetables, and then making sure we're getting the protein in to help those muscles recover from all of those long runs, even though they're not super long right now. Still, 4 miles on pavement is it
Yeah.
still beats up your legs. So
Yeah. I have a
um
7 mile run tomorrow, so we'll see
yeah.
how that
Whew.
goes.
Better, like, the idea, like, 7 miles doesn't scare me. 7 mile, I don't know what your weather is like, but it has been ungodly hot here. And it has just, oh gosh, the idea of running, I think I ran 3 miles last weekend and I was just like drenched, like head
Hmm.
to toe, like dripping in sweat.
But
So
it feels
hopefully your
so
7 mile run's
good.
not like that. What's
That's
that?
my favorite. I feel so good. That's my favorite. I love it when you can like wring your shirt out and you're like, oh, I feel so accomplished, you know?
I do feel accomplished. I also feel dead. And like I want to
That's
go
that's
lay.
why I'm telling you, you need the Epsom salt bath and you need the whole entire pizza. You got to,
That's true. That's true. I can
it's
definitely
all
get
got to
down
go
with the
together.
pizza, but the idea of like getting in like a hot bath too, I'll put maybe an ice bath. That
Oh,
would
I do
be,
ice baths as well.
yeah,
It,
I
it
do.
all depends on how I'm
Yeah,
feeling that day.
yeah, I totally feel that. I used to hate ice baths and like, but they're so effective.
Yeah.
It's just like they
Yeah.
really, really help. So I still have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with them, but yes. But yeah, I
It's
mean,
definitely a
you're
shock to the
fine.
system, but once you're in, you're good. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, we'll just sit for like 5 minutes and then we'll be done.
Yes, exactly. And then you get to go like kind of put on sweatpants and like curl up and
Hmm.
be all cozy for a little while.
Exactly.
Um, well, awesome. Is there anything else that you can think of that you have questions about, things that you want to kind of just air out for folks on the podcast to hear? Anything that we missed? Anything like that?
Um, I'm not sure if this is like information that you necessarily like need or whatever.
Mhm,
But since this has been my whole concern with my weight and everything, with working out like I am and eating like I am, I
mhm,
did go to my doctor and they had done an ultrasound on my thyroid and
mhm.
I got blood work done. Everything has come back negative.
Okay.
So that's great. It said
Yeah.
that I might have a little vitamin D deficiency.
Okay. Yeah.
But I have started taking a multivitamin, so I
Okay.
figured
Yeah.
that'll kind of sort all that
Yeah.
out.
It should.
But everything else is good.
Okay.
So now I feel like I'm back to square one, but I wanted to let you know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nothing serious is happening.
Yes. Well, that is good. When you say you gained weight, so first of all, there's gaining weights from like the time we're a teenager to the time we're
Mhm.
kind of like, for most women, it's like late 20s to kind of like early 30s is when we have almost like a second puberty, and kind of
Mhm.
gaining anywhere from like 15 to 20, even sometimes 30 pounds of where we were can be just kind of
Mhm.
normal. This is your body now. And
Mhm.
I think that that's sometimes something people don't talk about. And they're thinking, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm gaining all this weight. Like, what's going on? Um, so is it that level of weight gain, or is it more, has it been more than that?
I'd say it's more along like the second puberty type.
Yeah.
I am 28
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
So, back in high school, I was working out like every
Yeah.
day. I was on all of the teams. I was running. I
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
eating anything in front of me. So that was like real nice. At 135, at 5'6", I
Yeah.
felt good. I was,
Yeah.
whatever. And then when I started that fitness journey over COVID, I got down to like 165.
Okay.
And I felt really good about myself.
Okay.
And then now I'm sitting around 200,
Okay.
give or
Okay.
take, depending on the day.
Okay.
And it's not, and this is another thing, that I've had to combat is it's not necessarily about the weight, but it's about how I feel about myself
Yeah.
and how my clothes are fitting. So I'm not just weighing myself. I've been taking measurements. I've been,
Yeah.
feeling my clothes out, and nothing has been changing. So that's why I was like, I need to talk to somebody. I need something, there has to be a bigger
Yeah.
picture going on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what brought me to you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I think, you're kind of on that, like, I think, just to be blunt about it, like that 135 is probably not like we've probably seen the last of that.
No, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Would I like to get back to like 160?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. That's a great weight. I
Yeah.
felt good. I felt confident. Maybe even like 170 if I have,
Right.
I'm okay with that. Again, weight is kind of taking a back seat. I want to feel strong. I want to feel good about myself.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like you were saying, that kind of coincides together.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily like, it has to be this number.
Right.
This
Okay.
is what
Yeah.
the goal weight is. I don't really have a goal weight. I had just have like a goal me.
Yeah.
you know
No, that's
like
a
i
great way to
have
put it.
i
Yeah.
have weight that I want to push on bench, and weight that I want to squat, and weight that I want to deadlift, more so than a weight that I want to get myself to physically.
Yeah. But at the same time, you want to feel comfortable
Hmm.
running. You want to feel comfortable kind of, moving around day to day. And I think,
Yes.
yeah, I think one, I'm glad that you're not tied to a certain weight, because I think as you build muscle doing those things, you may be heavier, but your
Hmm.
body, like, we should be able to shrink some body fat.
Hmm.
Which, whether that is something that, because I think, gaining that much weight may be there's something else. I'm glad your thyroid's fine. There are definitely other hormonal things that can be going on, like PCOS is kind of a big one too.
Hmm.
That can be somewhat, cause people to gain more weight.
Hmm.
Have you talked with your doctor about, anything like that, or like had any weirdness in like your periods or anything like that?
So everything else seems fairly normal. I've never really had any concerns.
Okay.
I don't know if this is TMI, but I did go off my birth control in
Yeah.
May.
Okay.
I'm married. We're gonna
Yeah.
try for a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of like the goal in that. So that's another thing I'm trying to set myself up to be healthy, during
Okay.
pregnancy as well.
Yeah.
But I haven't noticed anything crazy since going off my
Okay.
birth control for about 2 months.
Okay.
I'm not sure when any changes or if there will be any changes from that. But
Yeah.
even, before I got on birth control, all my periods were very regular. I
Okay. So
don't
you
really
never
have
had
much
any.
cramping,
Okay.
like nothing serious. It was actually funny because people would be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't go to work. I'm cramping." And I'm like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You can still work,
Yeah.
but different strokes for different folks. Everybody feels different. And
Yeah.
I just never really had any issues.
Yeah. Okay.
So
And that's been about the same since you've come off your birth control too. Okay.
yes, yeah. And I did talk to my gynecologist, and she's like, everything's fine on my end. All
Yeah.
of the tests and everything that they run
Okay.
are fine.
Okay. They probably looked at like your blood sugar levels and things like that.
Hmm.
I think you definitely, it sounds like also too, where you've been kind of yo-yoing, if that makes sense. Like you probably,
Hmm.
like you were, kind of young, super active, and then we went to college, and like college does things.
Once you turn 21, let me tell you, those calories,
They are not the same. They are a
yeah.
different breed. But then, like, we kind of had somewhat of like a severe restriction, and now you're kind of probably just now coming out of that.
Hmm.
um Even though, like, I know you've been on kind of more of a health journey over the last couple of months, it takes your metabolism just a while to kind
Hmm.
of re-regulate itself.
Yeah.
So anytime like anybody's been in like a real strict calorie deficit, when they work their way back up to where like they should be, and honestly even at like 1800, 1900, you're still in a deficit.
Hmm.
So I would say, one thing we could consider going forward is actually increasing you up to more maintenance, which for you is probably going to be, which I know is going to sound scary, but like 2400 calories, and hold you there for a little while. You won't gain weight at that, but you won't lose weight either. But the goal is to get your metabolism fully up and humming, and then drop you back down into a deficit, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
um
I don't think I've ever not been in a calorie deficit.
right. Probably not. And
Yeah.
that may to be perfectly honest with you, be part of the problem. Just because what happens is your BMR lowers. So the number of
Mhm.
calories you burn at rest, your body basically starts cutting corners to do the things that it normally does in a day. So most of the calories we need in a day are from like your liver functioning, your heart functioning, your digestive tract working. Like that makes up the bulk of the calories. Your activity actually has relatively very little to do with it. What happens, and I see this in lots of women, particularly women kind of your age that are kind of,
Mhm.
in that kind of, throes of what is happening to my body. And like, but you've also been around long enough for diet culture to kind of have really impacted your behaviors. Um, a lot of what I see happen is that they've just been restricting for so long that their metabolism has basically started taking shortcuts. If you were here physically, I would run you to a like a metabolic cart or indirect calorimetry,
Mhm.
which that may be something you have access to as well. That what that does is it's basically a little tube that it's like a little machine that you set up and like you breathe into it for I don't know. I think it's 5 minutes, the one that we have. But it basically measures like how quickly your body is converting oxygen to CO2 and then measures your metabolism that way. A lot of times what I'll see in people where their basal metabolic rate should be like yours should be about 1700, but it may be down to like 1200 because of
Mhm.
this like diet cycling that we've been going through.
Yeah.
So the answer to that isn't to feed you below 1200 calories. The answer to that is to work you well up above that and then take you back down.
Mhm.
So, all told, and I think, you're throwing a marathon in this, which actually I think can work in your favor
Mhm.
because I think one, you're going to want to eat more. So I think that'll be super helpful. But that's also kind of a way of like forcing your body can only cut so many corners when you're running a marathon. Um, so it's kind of one of those, we'll see how you do.
Mhm.
I'm certainly not opposed to you going up into like a maintenance mode for I would say 2 to 3 months and then dropping back down into a deficit if weight loss is the goal.
Okay.
um
Yeah.
so that's
You're the
so just
professional. You tell me. I'll
yeah.
just do the best I can to be on board with it.
So I think I would say especially where if you've been at that 1800 1900 for a while now.
Yeah, probably since like February for,
And like
so a
not
couple
just not
months.
much has changed in terms
Yeah,
of
nothing.
size.
And that's
Okay.
kind of why, again, I came to you because I was
Yeah.
starting to freak out. I'm like, I mean, I've been doing this for months now and
Yeah.
I'm consistent with it. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And I think my first thought is something like insulin resistance or thyroid. Let's just check those things. It sounds like we
Mhm.
we checked all those boxes and those are all fine, which is great. My suspicion is just that your BMR has lowered itself.
Mhm.
If you can find a way to measure it, that's great. If you can't, my suspicion is let's push you. So if you're at 1800 to 1900 now, I wouldn't push you all the way to 2400 like overnight. What I would do is I say, let's eat at like 2000 for two
Okay.
weeks. And again, that may kind of feel like you're forcing a little bit of food, but just trust the process. It's, you shouldn't have to feel way overstuffed. So
Mhm.
I would say, 2000 for a week to 2 weeks, kind of until that feels normal and comfortable, and then bump to 2200 for a week to
Mhm.
2 weeks, again, until that feels comfortable.
Okay.
Um, and then kind of go up to 2400, which honestly might kind of nicely coincide when you're getting into some of your longer runs anyway.
Mhm.
When you're doing really long runs, like, you said your marathon's in March, is that right?
It's in October, so
Oh, it's
I'll
in
have
October.
like,
Okay.
the 16, the 18, the 20.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a couple weeks, my plan that I use. It's
Yeah.
like a couple weeks before, and then I start to taper
And then you
a little
taper. Yeah.
bit.
Okay.
So let's see here. Yeah, in 2 weeks, I'll do a 9 and a 10,
Okay.
and then I'll do, a 13. And then in September is when I start the big mileage with 15, 16, 18.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I would say by the time you get to like that half marathon point, the goal would probably be to have you pretty comfortably at, 23 to 2400 calories. And
Yeah.
when you're starting to do some of those big runs, and it's one of those things that like, honestly, running is one of those things that like, it kind of affects you like the 24 hours like before and after, but it's not like you
Mhm.
have to consistently, like with weightlifting, your muscles are kind of just continually repairing themselves. But with running, it's kind of, it's a little less aggressive, I guess I should say it that way. So if you're doing, like most people do their long runs on like a Saturday or Sunday, just because
Mhm.
we work and
Yeah.
that's the only time we
Just the
have.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. So like as long as you're eating, on those days, like the day before and like the day of that run, maybe even the day after that, you would probably want to like push to like 25, 2600. But then
Mhm.
the rest of the time you can kind of do your normal 23 to 24.
Okay.
And I would probably do that at least until the end of your marathon.
Mhm.
And then honestly, it might be time to say, okay, well, let's think about, one, scaling back down just gradually to
Yeah.
kind of whatever, like it's going to be a different maintenance calorie level. And then kind of from there, potentially going into a deficit. That's probably how I would work that.
Okay.
With the full expectation that you're probably not going to lose any weight until after October.
Yeah.
But you're not going to gain weight either.
Like, I'm okay with staying consistent and just, like I was saying, like with the measurements and stuff, it
Mhm.
might be more like and I don't know if this is real or not, but like a body recomposition
Yeah, no, that's
type
real.
thing.
Yeah.
So we're just like putting things in different areas.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
for
I'm
sure.
fine with that. Like I said, the scale is not the be all end all.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And I think I figured you would be. Again, that was largely for podcast listeners, but
Oh
also I
yeah.
think, even body recomposition, like some of that may not happen until we kind of get to at least that like plateau point of like that 2400 calories, just because basically in your body's mind is, well, in your body's mind, your body doesn't have a mind, right? But like in from like an evolutionary standpoint, if like food has been scarce, it's more like we don't want to, it doesn't want to let go of anything, and it doesn't want to change anything. So it doesn't want to build muscles because it's afraid
Mhm.
that it's going to take resources from something else. It doesn't want to let go of fat because it doesn't know when it might need it. So by kind of, increasing your calories, you're actually kind of giving your body like permission to say, hey, like you can let this go. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So sometimes though it takes until you get to that plateau point. And a lot of times people aren't even really in a true calorie deficit, but they start seeing those composition changes.
Mhm.
um and so that, and then, once, if your composition changes and like you're like, what, this weight is actually fine. I don't need to lose weight. Then we kind of leave it alone and just kind of let you ride out eating 2400 calories and you're happy as a clam. If you're kind of like, what, I would still like to drop a little bit of this extra fat, then we just bring you down into a deficit of probably 2000 calories.
Mhm.
Um and then you kind of just hang out there for a little while. But slow and
But we're
steady.
not worried about that right now,
Yeah,
right? You're
we're
trying
not
to
worried
get me
about that
up
right
there
now.
first.
Yeah. I think you're kind of a prime candidate, that you've just been in a deficit for too long, that
Mhm.
it's time to bump up those calories.
Mhm. And I'm not sure if this is something that you
Mhm.
care or whatever, but
Yeah.
I can send you like I got all the blood work stuff in the
Mhm.
mail if you want to like take a look at it because I
Yeah.
don't know what it means, but they
Yeah.
sent it to me and I'm like, okay, sure.
Great.
But if you know what it's supposed to
I
be or
always,
whatever.
like, if you have blood work, I always appreciate it, just
Mhm.
because um I think it just helps give me more pieces to the puzzle. And sometimes, like, sometimes they're like, yeah, this is fine, but like it's also sometimes nice to have somebody tell you why it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. And
Like,
I figured you're the science behind it. So if
yes.
you want it, I can
Yeah.
definitely take pictures of those and send them to you as well,
Yeah, you can
if
just
that helps it.
you can upload them into on Healthy. There's like a spot for
Okay.
documents. You can just upload them into there, whatever pictures you want.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I will take care of that then.
I
Awesome.
appreciate it. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure everything is fine, but that way I can see what they checked, what they didn't.
Mhm.
And if there is anything missing. And that's more always, it's always nice too to have like a baseline, so that if something changes later on down the line, it's kind of like, well, it was this, this
Mhm.
many years ago. So like, what's going on here?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But how does all that sound
Sounds
okay?
great. Yeah,
Okay.
sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, the increase in calories scares me a little bit.
Sure.
However, I'm gonna trust the process. I'm gonna do
Yes.
my best to meet all of those expectations.
And it's okay if it's hard, right? It's okay if it's hard physically to eat that much food, and it's okay if you don't some days. And it's also totally okay if it's hard mentally, because again, we've all just been conditioned that the less we eat, the better it's going to be.
Mhm.
And I'm asking you to challenge a very like well established
Yeah.
thought pattern. um but again, just reminding yourself that like this process is here for a reason. There is science behind it, that
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
um
And I know I know I'm not the only one out there. I know that other
no.
people have this problem, and
Yes.
it was one of the bigger issues that I have, and I'm still coming to terms with it, is one night I was like I was getting into bed and I went to go turn the light off, and I looked down, and on my thighs were these brand new stretch marks, and I
Mhm.
couldn't tell you, I have cried more in my entire life, and I was
Yeah.
just sobbing, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so gross, it's so gross. And again, like the social media, and body positivity, and I know it's normal, and I already have stretch marks in other places, but I was like,
Yeah.
these are new, and
Yeah.
it's so like soul crushing,
Yeah.
especially like as a female, as a young
Yeah.
female, and like it
Yeah.
being drilled into your head that,
Yeah.
skinny is beautiful and da 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 da.
No
But
stretch
I'm like,
marks, no cellulite, like.
yes, and
Yeah.
how, go get procedures done and yada yada yada. So, all of your listeners and all of your people, like, you're not alone. Everybody deals with
Yeah.
it, even, so it's okay. And I'm trying to love my body. And I think that
Yes.
this is a step in the right direction. And
It's hard.
yeah.
And that's honestly why I named the podcast Freely Nourished, right? It's like, because like the goal of food is not to manipulate your body, right? At the end of the day, the goal of food is to nourish your body, and that means
Mhm.
nourishing your mind, body, and soul. And yeah, you're so right. I remember I was young when I first noticed my cellulite. Like, I think I noticed cellulite when I was like 10 or 11. And
Mhm.
like, it was just like, oh my gosh, like I need to do something about that, putting all kinds of crazy creams on it and like
Yeah.
all this stuff. And it's just like, and I was talking to Katie, and I was like, it wasn't until I started working in a hospital and I saw a lot of naked bodies. Um, and it's just kind of like, cellulite and like bellies and stretch marks, like it's uncanny how common those things just truly are, but we feel like it's us and we feel like it's our
Mhm.
body because like the way the media portrays it, and the way like, there's all these different procedures that you can have like all these things removed. And
Yeah.
like, and people hide those things on their own bodies, so it's just kind of like we don't realize like how common it truly is.
Yeah.
um and and it's natural to feel that way about
Mhm.
it, but this body has carried you through one and hopefully a second marathon.
Yeah.
It,
And that's something that I've had to repeat in my head,
yeah.
actually. I'm a marathoner.
Yeah.
Not everybody can say that. Like, yeah,
Right.
I might have a little bit of extra weight on me, but like, my body has done things that not
Yeah.
everybody else can do.
Yeah.
And I have to be proud of that. And it's
Yeah.
so hard. But it's one of those
Yeah.
things that I have to like have on repeat in my
Yeah.
mind. Like, I'm a marathoner. My body has carried me 26.2 miles at one time.
Yeah.
Not to mention all of the miles that I've put on,
Right, in
before that, just
training
in
and stuff like.
training.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but
Yeah.
it's nice, and it's a nice thought to
It
have, and it
is a
definitely
really
helps
nice
carry
thought.
me.
And I think like, I always go back to the thought of like, you can do hard things, right? Like, you've done hard things before, you can do hard things again.
Mhm.
For me, it's like the squat hole. It's like I'm in the hole, I don't know if I can stand back up. But it's like, you can do hard things. And I think there's so many women out there, so I know this doesn't apply to you or me, but there's so many people out there, like if your body has, you know harbored and birthed a child,
Yeah.
and like not just like held that child, delivered that child, but like then carried you through like the first couple of months of that child's life, or years, however long. Like, children are hard, right? Not just
Hmm.
the physical toll of pregnancy and things like that, but like that is an amazing feat that your body has done, and
Yeah.
I guarantee you probably have stretch marks from it. And like, those stretch marks are a beautiful sign of what your body is capable of doing. and
Hmm.
and I hate that, like, society tells us to hate that, because like, look what you produced, right? Whether it's a
Yeah.
marathon, a child, even like, Olympic athletes, like they're beefy.
Yeah.
Like, because they're
Exactly.
eating. um So yeah, I love that of just, reminding yourself that like you've done incredible things, even, what you're doing now. I think it's awesome. Not everybody can do that. And there's lots of people too that, for various reasons of disablement just can't, right? Like it never will be able
Mhm.
to. I think that's something that kind of sticks in my mind too, is like there are people right now that would kill to have the body. And like, not to like guilt anybody or invalidate anyone's
Yeah.
feelings, but like there are people who would kill to have your body right now just because your legs are fully functional or there
Mhm.
for that matter. So I think that's kind of something too to kind of somewhat put it in perspective that like,
Absolutely.
these stretch marks are on my thighs, but like my thighs are there and like they do all kinds of things for me all day long.
Yeah.
Um, so I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, my dear. Same story I tell everybody, eat more.
Yes. I'll work on it slowly but
You got a
surely.
structured plan to
I'll
eat
work
more.
on it.
And then yeah, what I would usually do is follow up with you in a couple of weeks or a month and things like that and kind of just see where we're at with it.
Okay.
So yeah, so to anyone listening, this is what a nutrition consult looks like. It took us about, what did it take us? About an hour, a little
Yeah.
over an hour. So it's not long, it's not scary. Hopefully you feel like you got a lot out of it, Mara.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. It's always nice to have someone with a different perspective, with a
Yeah,
professional perspective to kind of guide me in the right ways.
yeah. That's
So
what I'm here for. I talk through the science, we talk through the emotions. Um, and yeah. Um, so yeah, anything else that you need from me or anything like that?
no, I think that's it.
Okay.
If I have any questions or whatever, I'll either shoot you text or an
Yeah.
email.
Perfect.
Since Gmail is taking forever, apparently.
Yeah, I still don't know. Well, also our internet, we had a bad storm yesterday and our internet like crapped out and then came back on, but it's not really been the same since. So
Mm,
I don't know. My husband works in IT. I'm like, you got to fix this because like this is my business, man.
yeah,
Like, you got to do something about this. So who knows? But either way, yes, you can call me, you can text me, you can email me, anything like that. I'll send you all of the stuff that we went through today too.
fabulous. Yeah,
You have it.
awesome. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you. And thank you everyone who is listening. If you are interested in a nutrition consults, I will put all of my contact information in the description below. Otherwise, Mara, have a great rest of your Saturday.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye.
Bye.